Hello guys, welcome back. We are on episode 8 of my Back to Basics series. Sorry for the past couple of episodes of being quite the boring commands that I wanted to get out of the way because I want to cover every single command in this series. But now we're back onto some interesting commands and these ones are really useful. So without further ado, we are going to be looking at the give command and the replace item command. I decided to group these two together because they're quite similar and they have Json components at the end of them, which I will be covering separately after I just go through the basic kind of give and the basic replace item commands, and then I'll just be cracking down on the Json components and what they do and what you can utilize them for. So looking at the give, fairly simple command. You've got your /give, you've got your target selector, so remember my episode 3, which is the target selectors, so you can define that a lot more depending on what you're doing with your give command. Then you've got your item, so this example I'm going to use a diamond, and then if you don't do anything it should give you 1, so it gives me 1 diamond. If I just clear my inventory and remove the diamonds, I'll just do that again. So clear, give at P, I'm the closest player to me, diamonds, and I can specify if I want 20 as well, so I have 20 diamonds there, and so on. So that's fairly simple. You also can play around with this and use the data. So if you remember when I've talked about data, it controls certain things, certain variants. So if you're using the set block or fill command, it's and on things like concrete, then it's changing the colors. Things like stone or logs, then it's what type of log, what type of stone is it? Is it stone, granite, polished granite, and so on. Now with items, there's not many items that have variants. Things like dyes, that I believe is the dye. You give yourself dye and then a data for the different colours, including things like lapis lazuli or cocoa beans and squid ink. They all come under the dye. This wouldn't work too much on that one. It will if you want to clear. I'll explain what this means. So on the ones that don't use the data, you could apply a data to an item and use that in a clear command. And this is kind of the basics and the basis of how chest UI shops are made. So when you go into a chest, you can see different named items that you can go to weaponry, you can go to armor, you can go to food, and then it changes the screen, so then you can then buy the food. So it's kind of like a little screen, a computer screen if it were. And this is how it's done, because you can't actually stipulate what the name of the item is in your clear command, but you can clear certain data. So if I gave myself 1 diamond with a data of 20, where my keyboard, really got to stop using wireless. So I give myself data of 20. If I use the clear command, clear at self diamond, if I did that, it will clear all, because it will clear all diamonds. But if I stipulate the data, so clear the data of 1 and 1, so 1 of them, I don't actually have a diamond with a data of 1. But if I change that to the data of 20, which I did when I gave the command, it then removes that item. So that's how the chest UI shops work. So when you click on it, it's constantly clearing. As soon as you click on it, it clears it. That then shows success. So then it will proceed to conditionality. So what you do need to watch out, if I gave myself one of say 40, I'm going to chuck that in a chest for now, and then I gave myself one of 45 data. They will stack. If I kept them together, they are separate, but as soon as I stack them together, I believe it's the first one, we'll do that as a test now, so it should fail if I do a data of 40 and not of 45. Yeah, because it's now you've stacked it, you've now changed the data of your other one. So if I change that to 45, it will clear 1. There's 1 gone, and if I do it again, clear 2. So do watch out for that. You can't. It doesn't prevent them from being stackable. So if they end up stacking together, they will change data. Not sure why. I wish it was so you couldn't stack them, because then you could use that by giving people items and play around with it. But it depends what you're using it for and what you can utilize it for. But that's the give command. We'll move on to the replace item. So there's two replace item, well, main commands for replace item. You've got block or entity, so I'm going to look at block first. So you can see here, so replace item, then you choose block, then you put your coordinates in, use relative slot.container. That's the only one that it gives you. When we get to entity, you see there's different options. Then you've got your slot ID. So your slot ID starts from 0 and goes up depending on how many slots there are. So in this example, I use slot 0, which is the first one, and then diamond, whatever item you want to put in. I'll get to the replace handle in a second, which is the other route you could take, but this is just the basic. This will replace the item in the first slot with a diamond, with 1 diamond with a data of 0. So remember what I said with the give, you can do the same data thing with this. So I've done that, and if we go into here, there's now a diamond in there. So I can take that out, do it again, you can see it's in there. I'm going to do it one more time and change it to slot 1, which is now in the second slot. So that's just the basic replace item. You can then use handle mode, so you've got destroy and keep. So with destroy, so you can see it's kind of set up the same. So you do your replace item block coordinate slot.container, the slot ID, and then if I just revert before this one, you can see this is where you would normally put the item name, but if you put destroy, then that reverts to the second syntax, which is the replace mode, and then you choose your item, so diamonds, then amount, which is the same, and your data, which is the same, and then components, which we're not going to cover right now, not until the end of the video. So that will destroy whatever's in there and change, and it will just keep working. So it's kind of the same as the first one, really, the basic one. The second one, however, is different. So that's keep. So if I change that to keep, it will put 1 item in there, and then if I do it again, what keep does, it keeps the item that's currently in there. So if it's not air, if there's nothing, then it will replace the item, and if not, if I do that now, see it's already got an item occupying that slot. So you could use that depending what systems you're setting up. So that could be a feature or a mechanism that you could utilize depending what you're doing. So that's quite handy. I'm going to move on to entity now, which is a little bit different. I haven't set the full command up. So with entity, you can target any entity, and then you've got a lot of different things you can change. So you can do slot.armor, slot.chair, armor, chest, feet, heads, legs, chest. I'm not sure that would apply with a player. I think that's more for if you're targeting, say, a horse with the chest on it. ender chest, so I've got an ender chest here actually with nothing in it. So if I use that one as the first example, just start typing ender, then that comes in. Slot ID works the same as previous, so I'm going to choose 0. Item name, you still got to replace the old item handling mode, so you can replace, do the keep or destroy. So I'm just going to, I won't cover that one because it's exactly the same as the block. I'm just going to run through the different kind of slot types. Diamond, 1 and 0. So that will now put a diamond in there. You can do this with both the blocks. The reason why this isn't a class as a block is because the ender chest is personal to the player, so that's why it comes under entity. But with both the block and entity replace item, you can fill with air, just a note, and that will remove the item. So that could be a handy thing to do if you don't want people, if you want to use, say, ender chests in your world because they look cool, or you want them just in your decoration, but you don't want people to use them. You could constantly fill their ender chest with air, maybe with a warning so they don't start putting all their valuable stuff in there and it disappears. Really up to you. You have to do per slot, so you would have to set up 27 command blocks to do every single one, but it can be useful. I actually used that in my very first idea of a death count, because you can't replace items for dead players, so I used that as a death count. It wasn't very sufficient death count because you had to use a setup per person. If you do want a death count, there is a much better one, which is my best death count. But anyway, I use that kind of mechanism for that. But there are other things you can change. You can do hotbar. You can do inventory. That's again saddle. That wouldn't be for a player. That'd be for a horse. Doesn't work for a pig because you don't actually saddle a pig in the same way as you do. They don't have a saddle slot. It's an interaction with the saddle that actually puts the saddle on, so it works a little bit different than a horse. So, but say if I want to put, I do chest, I can then put, that's always going to be 0. There's not more than one slot in these ones. 0, and then I'll do chainmail chest plate. I can just run that now, and then I now have chainmail chest plate on. So that can be good for kind of starter kits. You can just have a quick run through and replace all their empty slots with the armor, give them a starter kit. So that can be cool for any kind of kit PvPs and stuff like that, as a way to give them the items automatically. So that is the basics of the give item and the give and the replace item commands. Now we're going to get to that very last bit, which you can't really see there. You can see it at the very end, but components.json. What that is that we've only got 2 MBT tags in Bedrock, and that's can destroy and can place on. So this is solely for adventure mode. Because adventure mode you can't place items, you can't destroy items. It's just for interacting. But if you want to create like an RPG or an economy server like I've got, or a kind of role playing, which is RPG. Sorry, scrap that word. Then you might want to allow them to do certain things. You might want them to be able to mine, so you want to give them a diamond pickaxe that can destroy all the ores, or you want to them to be able to harvest wood in an area, so you can give them the axe in that area, and then when they leave it gets taken from them, so they don't destroy logs elsewhere. Then you'll use this. So it's fairly complicated, and I will put this in the description for all these 3 commands I'm going to show you. It works for replace item and for the give. So as you can see from here, this is the normal give command, and then it's this last section of the syntax here, which is components.json. and this is the section we're adding. So in this example, it's going to give me a diamond axe. You can do data and all that as you wish, but it's going to be able to destroy logs. Now you can't actually stipulate with this command what logs, so this would destroy all logs. If you had concrete in there, it would destroy all colours concrete. Unfortunately, we can't split it up into the different parts of the category. It's the category alone. So if I do that, then I've now got an axe. If we look at it and hover over it, it now says can break. It says oak log, but it does mean all the logs. So if I put myself into game mode adventure, then I can't destroy anything because I'm in adventure mode. So I can't destroy these logs with my hand, can't destroy anything. But as soon as I use this axe, I can now destroy. I can't strip because that's a separate thing, but I can destroy. There's some spruce and there's some oak, so I can destroy logs. I can't destroy anything else with this axe. Now if I look at the other command, which is the can place on, so I'm going to remove that, remove that, remove that. So copy that over, just saves me typing it out. So again, this is the same give command. I've given myself concrete 1, concrete 0, sorry, 1 concrete 0. I might change that actually to give myself a few more, so I'm going to give myself 10, and let's give myself orange concrete, which is concrete 1, so that's the data. And then this is can place on stone. So let me do that and put myself in adventure again. So I can't place it anywhere, and I can place it on stone, granite, andesite, diorite. I can't put it back on anything, so that's very handy. It's something we use a lot in map building. So you can't destroy it, so it really depends what you want to do with it. Now the way to look at it really is the can destroy is your left click and can place on is your right click. So that can be used for certain things like tools, because if you you can strip wood with an axe, you can hoe, you can till grass. So what I do in my server, because I want people to be able to farm, is to create your own business, is you can link them together, and this will also show you how you can in fact what I'm going to do is grab it's right there, grab a notepad so I can show you the full command. I haven't actually copied it. There we go. So you've got your give command, which is the same, but this is the full command here, the full Json component. So you've got your normal can destroy blocks. If you want to add more blocks, you put a comma, and then repeat kind of the same with your quotations. So it's got beetroot, carrots, potatoes, and then I've added the can place on as well, so grass and dirt. So of course with a hoe you can't place on in as a block, but can place on would mean I could right click and till. So if I do that and show you and execute that command, I've now been given a diamond hoe, and if we look at where my keyboard wants to, there we go, and it can break crops. For some reason the carrots hasn't got a name under its language file, which that's the reason why it's doing that. Potatoes, beetroot, and it can place on grass and dirt. So that's how, if I open it up in here, that's how you add extra ones. You can see it here with a comma, and you can add loads of blocks. So if you wanted to, there is somewhere on the internet, I might make one when I have some time, one that can destroy everything and that can place on everything, in case you wanted to give yourself something that can place on anything. So if I put myself in adventure, can't break, but I can break the wheat, I can break the beetroot, I can break the carrots, and I can break the potatoes. Can't break the farmland, but I didn't put break on the blocks anyway. But I can till the grass, and I can till, this is coarse dirt, so I can turn it to dirt and then turn it to farmland. So that's how I've done for my my server. It's done it like that, so they can go around farming, so they buy it. So that's what I would put in your shop, personally, for that sort of server. But hopefully that makes sense. I will put these 3 commands in the description, because they're quite long and I don't want you to have to type that all out. But it's good for you to type these out and learn through the chat bar, because it comes up with suggestions. But that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again tomorrow.